This is the problem. The nut came off because the cotter pin was missing, and so the steering knuckle was disconnected from the upper control arm. So I fixed it myself. This is a quadruple sped video of the process. Just taking the wheel off to get started here. Already loosened the center hub nut, and so now it's finger tight. Just taking that off, and taking off the brake caliper in the back, and then I'll remove the disc after that. Gotta compress the brake a little bit so it'll slide off the disc a little easier. And just putting it out of the way. Slid the axle out. Didn't quite need to do that yet, but it helped get the lower hex nut off. Taking off the connecting rod there, the steering arm. Tie rod there. And had to loosen it up with the hammer a little bit, so I put the nut on so I didn't mess up the threads to do that. Pulling the cotter pin out of the lower castle nut to take off the steering knuckle completely so that I can get the strut tower out. Had to hit that up with the hammer too. They seat those pretty well. We're lowering the, I'm loosening the nut on the back side of the strut there where it connects, and gonna loosen that out with the hammer too. It's got some splines on the head side of it to hold it tight. Kind of a tight fit, and as I loosen it, the strut wants to expand with the spring too. So now I'm just gonna take the 4 bolts off the top there, leaving the spring in place for now. Just loosened up first. I'm going to take off the back corner one first because it's harder to get to, so do that one next. And then the strut tower will be free, and I'll be able to go underneath and slide to remove it. I'm just holding it up right there so the bolt comes out a little easier. And now I'm just going to slide out the strut tower. And it's this upper control arm that I need to replace because the rubber's gone bad on that bolt that connects to the steering knuckle. So it's not holding grease anymore. Got to loosen the bolts there. Now Chrysler made a mistake here, or Plymouth, whatever you want to call them. The bolt goes in towards the spring, so you can't get it out with the spring in place like it is. I shouldn't have had to take this apart, but here I'm taking the spring off. When I put it back together, I fixed that. I put the bolts in the other way, so you don't have to mess with the spring at all to get the bolts out. And right here I made the fatal mistake, nearly fatal mistake, of trying to take it apart without using the spring compressor to hold it tight, and pretty soon you're going to see what kind of damage that causes. So just loosening up, gonna take the strut out, and it explodes on me here. It goes in slow motion. So don't